An Interminable Golden Age. What we've delivered so far and what we're cooking up next. Published January 5th, 2025 by Zachary Newell. Welcome to 2025 Radio Free Pizza Gourmets. To mark this latest January in our species' never-ending march, I hope you'll humor me enough to review our publication's history, and thereafter to outline its journey forward. Some among you might have noticed that our dispatches and bulletins now come with audio voiceovers that Substack syncs to various platforms. Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, to be precise, generated with a voice clone of yours truly from 11 Labs, including the music, courtesy of Suno, that bookends and provides internal transitions to these voiceovers. This has all resulted in almost 12 hours, approximately 11 hours, 59 minutes, and 37 seconds of audio generated from year one alone. To that total, we can add another approximately 13 hours, 16 minutes, and 4 seconds for the dispatches and bulletins from May through December of last year, though again, that's including approximately 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 36 seconds of intros, transitions, and outros. Disregarding those, we produced the text for approximately 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 5 seconds of speech in our audio podcasts, which run approximately 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 41 seconds if we include them. So, we've either produced about 45 seconds shy of a full day of audio content, or more than 25 hours of it, depending on how you want to measure it. That's all spread across 52 total text posts published here on Radio Free Pizza since its launch in April 2023, with an average of 4,115.25 words each. 213,993 total. That's quite a lot, I'd say. About 3 books worth. The longest so far was last month's 2024 in retrospect, with its 8 decreasingly narrow slices. However, as I told Indy, eponymous and pseudonymous co-founder of the Indie News Network, about this format in July, what a silly thing for me to do. I could have just posted the subheaders as their own articles. I'll have to transition away from this year in forecast, in progress, in retrospect format next year. So, you won't be seeing any Forward 2025 in forecast dispatch this month. Not from me, anyway. But that's not the only change we have in store. As some of you may have also observed, in last year's final quarter we started releasing spectacles, as I've chosen to call these video podcast episodes, such as an interview with the aforementioned Indy released last month, or one with Tarot by Fergus, whose fortune-telling replaced the missing 2025 in forecast, released on the 1st of this year. These, I expect, will become the predominant mode of media in which we release our content. Still, as you might have guessed from my emphasis above on our word count so far, I don't plan on abandoning the written word entirely, and especially not while I continue my long-standing efforts with Diaphora Company. While I have some plans to present future posts featuring some of the indie novels and comics mentioned in the brief description of Radio Free Pizza that appears in our various social media profiles, there's also the question of the to-do list featured in Year 1 last April, reprinted below with additions inspired by the dispatches and bulletins that followed it in the rest of 2024. 1. Crime rates, wealth inequality, and population. Research and compare crime rates in the US, USSR, and Russian Federation during the 90s, maybe throw in the PRC and DPRK for good measure, and compare these to data on wealth inequality, elite overproduction, and population to assess secular cycles. Examine the relationship between foreign policy positions and domestic political stability. 2. U.S. housing crisis, middle-class decline, and tenants' union inquiry. Research the U.S. housing crisis and its connection to corporations like BlackRock buying up the single-family houses in U.S. cities. Examine when the American middle class really started to decline and the American dream ended. Research the activity of tenants' unions nationwide. Develop plans to address land and housing concentration issues based on historical precedents. 3. Dismantle economic imperialism. Research options for busting or nationalizing monopolistic corporations. Consider methods of nationalizing the U.S. Federal Reserve and replacing it with a state-owned central bank. Investigate policies to support worker-owned enterprises with ESOP ownership share compensation plans. Examine approaches for reducing big money donor influence in U.S. politics. Develop proposals to increase working class political representation. 4. Basic needs. Guarantee workplace productivity and wage growth. Analysis. Research the idea of guaranteeing basic needs like healthcare and housing in exchange for service in programs like AmeriCorps. Have an open discussion on shifting cultural attitudes about the necessity of full-time work and how to move incrementally. Compile data on worker productivity gains over past decades compared to wage growth and changing workplace expectations. 5. Financial systems investigation and CBDC adoption monitoring. Research the history of money, central bankings, and the potential manipulation of metals markets to suppress gold and silver prices. Look further into cryptocurrencies as an alternative to central bank-controlled fiat money. Consider the benefits of returning to a gold standard or similar system. Pay attention to how the adoption of central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, plays out globally in comparison to El Salvador's adoption of Bitcoin. 6. Geopolitics, economics, and systemic issues. Investigate the ongoing economic battle between the U.S. and China in Latin America, focusing on the fight over resources. Continue documenting and reporting on the impact of U.S. sanctions and intelligence operations on Latin American economies, like that of Venezuela. Reflect on how current systems contribute to issues like pandemics, climate change, biodiversity loss, and mental health crises. 7. State enterprises and sustainability investigation. Examine the merits and flaws of nationalizing or establishing state enterprises in different sectors of the American economy. Explore ways of supporting innovations aimed at sustainability, rebuilding natural systems, and reforming economic incentives. 8. Media advocacy and fairness. Examine approaches toward establishing an equitable media ecosystem that serves the public interest and supports independent outlets. Explore policy changes to regulate corporate media. Continue advocacy for press freedom and protection of journalists who expose government crimes. Examine ways to promote critical thinking and media literacy in discussions about conspiracy theories. 9. Inner development, reflection, and transformative experiences. Exploration. Reflect on whether modern comforts waste internal value by substituting them for inner development and transformation. Consider ways to seek challenging experiences and frontiers outside of political solutions to transform oneself. Develop proposals transitioning to localized communities that cultivate wisdom practices rooted in unique contexts and intimate relationships. 10. Libertarian communism. Explore ways to instill a national ethic in the U.S. of patriotic service to one's local community. Research socialist-inspired efforts to foster a sense of shared purpose and reduce socioeconomic disparities to promote social cohesion and communal responsibility. Promote citizen engagement and grassroots-level political participation, with a focus on local oversight and participation in government to ensure democratic integrity that holds both political and corporate elites accountable. Examine strategies for effectively communicating anti-imperialism to disaffected working-class communities in the interest of building a mass movement centered on workers' rights and improving living standards. Investigate the 5-year plans under Stalin and other aspects of his socialism in one country for ideas to incorporate into the proposed socialism with American characteristics. As I said before, we'll see how soon I get around to any of that, though I do think I've made some indirect inroads on a few of them. But regardless of how soon I address the above list, or in what order I do so, you can be sure it will be sooner than the last time I said it, since I plan to make these the focus of our dispatches in the coming year. But with that said, I may modify the release schedule of those dispatches. While I've maintained a last Sunday of every month schedule since last April for dispatches and released bulletins on intermittent Wednesdays, at least until the appearance of our first spectacle, I'm feeling a degree of burnout after publishing 3 books worth of written material in the past year and a half. Accordingly, to keep the quality up to par, I expect to become less exacting in the frequency and/or regularity with which dispatches, bulletins, and spectacles appear. That will give me more time for the novels of Patrizio Della Luna, whose Metropotamia series has, until now, been put unfortunately on the back burner. Thanks as always for tuning in. I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to 2025 and finding out just what Radio Free Pizza will deliver. Radio Free Pizza is a reader-supported publication and listener-supported podcast. To see all our work, visit www.radiofreepizza.com or search for Radio Free Pizza on all your favorite social media and podcast platforms. You might even find a button to click that says subscribe. And if you're really lucky, it will let you leave a review. Otherwise, just share a link with your friends or on social media. Thanks for your support. Radio